What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Dolphins versus the World. And as always, I'm joined with our producer, Joel is with us, and my co-host, Anthony, is here. Anthony, how are you feeling for this Week 18 AFC East deciding matchup?
I feel my mind's just kind of like, I feel like we have so much to talk. Like there's a lot to get to in this podcast. So I won't waste anyone's time. So I'm doing well as we all, as good as all of us are doing right now, heading into this Week 18 matchup. So
yeah. And real quick before we get started, please, everyone, if you're here, like, share, comment, subscribe. We appreciate everyone in the comments. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking. Please continue to do it. We appreciate it. It grows the channel, helps with the YouTube algorithm and everything, and your support honestly means the world to us. So thank you so much. And,
really just liking. Like literally, if you're watching the video, if you just click the like button, literally, if you just like it and then you're like, I don't.
Even if you don't like it, you could leave right after.
Even if you don't like it, that's my Christmas. That's our Christmas gift, late Christmas gift.
Yeah, and then we'll just pivot here real quick to wishing the late Don Shula a happy birthday, as you informed me here. I was not aware previously, but it would be his 94th birthday.
Yeah.
And I mean, legend of the game. Don't
greatest coach of all time.
Greatest coach of all time. Just absolute legend in Miami. Will forever be. So happy birthday, Don Shula. Not much more to say than that.
The legend, man. It's God, he's the greatest coach of all time, in my opinion, but that's just me. Whatever.
No, yeah, and then happy birthday, Don Shula. But other news, a little more serious news. If you're not aware, Tyreek Hill's home did catch on fire. It looked pretty bad just before you see everything, but thankfully everyone was okay. No injuries were reported. They did say today it was just a child playing with a cigarette lighter, I saw. But I mean, he left practice to go check on it. And one thing that was interesting, I saw that he actually left in a walking boot. I don't know if he has been the whole week or something and just no one report on it, but just because he sped out of there, got out of there as quick as possible. Yeah, walking boot. And any other news, really?
No. I mean, thank God everyone is safe and everything. That's really important. The walking boot, I feel like the walking boot is more of a let's make sure that we're just limiting any possible pressure or anything on it, because that's what it's meant for. It's meant to alleviate pressure and heal from injuries, so you're not putting a lot of weight and it's just like rolling naturally. So I think it's more so for that. I don't think like he's not going to play or anything. He didn't practice today, which I don't think really matters that much. But yeah, nothing really. I mean, thank God everyone's safe, more importantly. And I mean, money, he has tons of it. So, I hate to sound like that, but I'm not really worried about that. It's just more so that people around him are safe.
It's even bigger than I thought. I did not see
it. Dude, it's huge. Oh my God. I don't know if you watched when I saw it on Hard Knocks, I was just like, I mean, think about this. He makes like $1 to $1.5 million every single game he plays. So it's like, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, not to sound like I don't care about the damage, but like also I'm sure he would say the same thing. Like, dude, I can replace that. Like I as long as everyone's safe, that's what matters. So
yeah, 100%. And then some other news, the Pro Bowl roster did come out and a few Dolphins on there. Get that up here. Yeah. I mean, I think just all the names you'd expect. I mean, this is kind of like, to me personally, like, while Jalen Ramsey should be at every Pro Bowl, he's definitely, if not the best corner, like top 3. But just when you don't play like a full season, like I feel like, as we talked a little bit before, like the Pro Bowl is so like it's lost its value.
Right.
It's just, it's such a waste. Like, and it's a shame because they should be recognized. Like these players, like the best of the best should be recognized. But
right.
I mean, all these guys are happy to be there, and hopefully most of them aren't playing in that because the Dolphins are playing in the Super Bowl. But good trip if they do get to go.
Yeah, to be honest, the one I was surprised by is Teron Armstead.
That too, honestly.
I agree with you 100% about the Pro Bowl. I could care less about it. Really, the reason why, if you're wondering out there, why do players care so much? It's because of contracts. Conspiracy theorist in me is wondering why Christian Wilkins and Javon Holland didn't make it. Javon Holland, actually, I understand he missed like 4 out of the last 8 games of the season. But Christian Wilkins, like, it's a little interesting to me that Pro Bowl is voted by executives, coaches, and fans. And it's interesting to me how 2 players that, regardless of if it's in Miami or not, are going to be up for contracts, and you're going to have to pay them $2 to $3 million more probably if they make the Pro Bowl. Didn't make it. That's just interesting to me. I'm not saying that it's because of it. It's just interesting. So yeah, it's weird that they didn't make it. But with Teron Armstead, like here's my issue with the Pro Bowl. I feel like people get in every single year based off of what they've done in the past and because they're household names. If you told me like Teron Armstead, if healthy, to me is one of the best left tackles, if not the best in the NFL, and what he's had to go through this season and last season with injuries, it sucks. And I feel for him. But like, if we're just being 100% honest, he does not deserve to be this year in the Pro Bowl. I don't know what he's done this year to say that guy, like, if anything, Alton Jackson should be in above him. Connor Williams, I know it doesn't matter even if he got selected because he's not going to be able to go anyway. But like, to me, Teron Armstead, I know people are like, why are you arguing about a Dolphin getting in? It's just, again, it's to talk about my point of like, I feel like the Pro Bowl, like if you're going to have another Dolphin spot, like I'd love to see every Dolphin in the Pro Bowl, but like you're telling me that like Austin Jackson shouldn't be there above Teron Armstead, Christian Wilkins. So that's where I have a little bit of an issue with the Pro Bowl, because there's a bunch of Teron Armsteads out there that have gotten in just because they're of their name, not because of their play on the year. And but nonetheless, congratulations to all of them, especially Tua. He's the first quarterback since Dan Marino, which I'm like, that's crazy. That's a crazy statistic to me that we haven't had a quarterback make the Pro Bowl in over 20 years, which kind of just shows what quarterback situation we've had here. Raheem Mostert makes absolute sense. Tyreek Hill, I mean, what are we talking about? Alec, Jalen Ray, everyone on there makes sense. It's just, I feel like some people, which I'll share right now, the alternates, I feel like there's some alternates on the list that if you're just asking me, I probably would have put on there above, like to me, Christian Wilkins. I mean, even Zach Sealer, I'm like, dude, they had like, interceptions, they had touchdowns, they had sacks, they had forced fumble, like they had everything. And if you're asking me, like, who on this list got snubbed, like, dude, Austin Jackson isn't, like, he's a 4th alternate, dude. Like that to me is not okay. But whatever. Congratulations to everyone that did make it. I know players really care about it because it helps them with contracts. So if you didn't make it, oh well. And there's a lot of people who did make it that probably shouldn't have.
Yeah. But I mean, we'll see. Like I said, I hope that most of those guys aren't playing in it because the Dolphins are going to be doing for bigger things. But they are trying to make it entertaining. It's not going too well, but we'll see. But we'll get to the main course here. Here we are, week 18, and to just set the stage, everyone knows the stakes. It's for the AFC East. The winner is going to be the 2 seed, and then in all likelihood, the loser of it will be a wild card. There is possibilities where it could be the Bills need a win to get in, and we'll know that by kickoff. Obviously, this is the last game, but it's going to be a big game. Like even if the Bills are already in, I don't see why either team would not give 100% effort. Like there has been some people who are kind of saying like the Dolphins like should punt on the game with their injuries, like and I don't think that's even remotely on the table. Like I could see why people say that, but that's just not going to happen. Like don't even know why you're talking about that. And then same thing if the Bills like exhale because they're already in before and the wild card. they will not be exhaling. They will be giving a full-blown effort. Like the equity you have for winning this game and being the 2 seed, and you're one upset of the Baltimore Ravens away from having possibly a home AFC championship game if you could get it done, just is too much. Like instead of having to go on the road 3 times in all likelihood to make the Super Bowl, you only would have to do it once at most. Like, you got to be kidding me if you think that either of these teams, this isn't what they played for. And then last thing, before I just kick it over to you, to your big picture thoughts, like before the season, this is exactly where I was hoping to be. I thought maybe if we get lucky, we'll have a chance at like playing for all the marbles, like the last game for the AFCs to get a home playoff game, which we haven't had in, I think it's been 16 years now, something like that. It's been way too long. But just the path that both these teams have taken to get here, where the Dolphins went from hunting the Bills like for the past couple of years to now being the huntee and obviously blowing a game for the Titans. It just sucks. Like the morale in the Dolphins camp is definitely a lot lower than the Bills, who are on just 6-game win streak. And when they were basically 1 win away from their season being done, and they got off the map and they adjusted and they got it done. So, full credit to them for forcing this, because they did their part and the Dolphins couldn't do their part to have this clinched up already. But yeah, here we are. Like this is what I think Dolphins fan would have wanted before the season. But if we're all being honest, like I think we're all very nervous because this is a good Buffalo Bills team, as we have said plenty of times. And yeah, the Dolphins are in rough shape, while so are the Bills, but we'll talk about that in a little.
Yeah, well, understandably so. I mean, it's going to be a very difficult game for the Dolphins if they want to win this, just with the injuries and difficulty of opponent. Pressure either cracks or makes diamonds. And so far, it's looked like it's cracked the Dolphins, but nothing will be able to give us more of a tell than this. I mean, it's all on the line. I will say both teams are definitely going to give 100% regardless. I think if you're someone like me who thinks that the Bills have an edge as far as mentality because they could possibly not even be in the playoffs, you would hope, if you're a Dolphins fan, that everything aligns before the game, that the Bills are in no matter the outcome, because that will not change as much as that won't change them playing starters or wanting to win, because both teams, I mean, the swing of going to the 2 seed versus the 6 seed is significant, even though I think a lot of us would agree that really the only team that I probably fear in the playoffs would be the Bills or the Ravens. If I'm just being honest, I think everyone else.
I fear the Browns. I fear the Browns.
Okay, yeah, I'll put the Browns in there. But I think that mentality-wise, I probably would give a little bit of an edge to the Bills, because the Dolphins, even though they desperately won the 2 seed, just like the Bills, they are in no matter what. And I think if the Bills go into this game and there's the human psychological element to where we are in no matter what, I'm not saying that it will change their desire for the 2 seed, but there is like we can actually breathe. We're in the playoffs no matter what. Will that help the Dolphins? Will that not? It might make the Bills play even better because they're playing with house money because they're in no matter what. I have no idea. But this is a very tough game for the Dolphins. The Bills, Emmanuel Acho said it very well. I mean, damn, if you can't win the division this year, you had a 3-game lead on the Bills. Upsetting, to be honest, that we're even in this situation. It's upsetting that we've had to deal with all the injuries that we've dealt with, which we'll get to the injury report in a little bit. But at the end of the day, this is a big game. This is the game that, it's more than just a game to get in the playoffs or anything like that. This is a hierarchy, a power statement game. And, if the Dolphins go out here in this game and lose, to me, that's going to fracture the way I look at them a little, because again, you had a 3-game lead on them. You beat them once last year, but if they sweep you again this year, it's just like, man, I mean, you couldn't win the division when they were down, and I don't expect the Bills to play or have this bad of a season next year because I think they'll fix some stuff. So this is a big game for the Dolphins, and I not only for themselves but for the fans and for people out there, you got to show up in a big time moment. Mike McDaniel, Tua, the defense. I understand you have a lot of injuries, but you know, you can't, especially that it's in Miami, you can't lose to the Bills in Miami and lose the division and everything that's at stake for it. You can't lose at Hard Rock and do that. So Sunday Night Football, it is all on the line. And just like Mike McDaniel says, you can't run away from narratives, that they are what they are. And the only way to change them is to change them. So let's see if he practices what he preaches. And let's see if they can go out there and beat a very good Buffalo Bills team this Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, so one of my personal favorite people to listen to in personalities is it's Drew Dinzig. Works for NBC Sports and does his own podcast, The Deep Dive. It's more betting centric based, and that's what the content I like to listen to. But he brought up a good point that I didn't really think of, and I just want to give him credit for it. These are my own thoughts, but a lot of teams read their press clippings each week, and it feels like the Dolphins and Ravens both did. And the Dolphins were we did it. We overcame everything. We beat a team. We beat a good team. They were wrong. We're better than we thought we would. Then everyone thought we would. We proved it. And meanwhile, the Ravens read all the clippings that they just bullied the best team in the NFL, and they went out there and played a bunch of bullies, and they just bullied the Dolphins point blank. And now I'm curious what the Dolphins will do with all the distractions this week. Between Tyreek's house, Hard Knocks, other stuff they're reading what they're saying. It's pretty clear that this team, like you said, they know the narratives that are out there. How do they respond to it? They know what's on. They know how the fans feel. They know how the national media feels. They know how the Bills feel. The Bills fans, what are they going to do? Both these teams are aware of everything. There's nothing to hide from.
Yeah. And I want to get into playoff picture a little as far as what the ramifications of this game are before we get into the injury report in the actual game. But for those unaware, whoever wins this game wins the division, and the winner of the AFC East gets the number 2 seed. So obviously it's only between the Dolphin and Bills. So the winner gets the 2 seed. That's a significant swing from the 6 seed, which is if we lose, we are guaranteed to get the 6 seed. So that's a significant swing. Like you said, that's the difference of playing at home every week, basically until the AFC Championship game. If the Ravens were to make it there and you were to make it there, if they don't and somehow lose, maybe if they played the Browns or something, if they got in and the Browns somehow beat them, you're always playing at home. But that is significant. And if we were to lose and we get the 6th seed, we are going to play the Chiefs. So you're either going to play, if you lose, you're playing the Chiefs. And if you win, I did a bunch of scenarios, and you're either going to play one of 3 teams: the Bills again, the Steelers, or the Jaguars. So that's what's up to, for stake, I guess, if that's the way to say it. The way I view it, based off who I think will win between the Steelers and the Ravens backups, the way Mason Rudolph's been playing, Mike Tomlin wanting to get into the playoffs, I think that if the Dolphins win, they'll probably play the Steelers, and if they lose, they'll obviously play the Chiefs. So, we shall see what happens. But, again, you need home playoff games. It's just a different atmosphere. We've seen that this Dolphins team doesn't do well in big game atmospheres in other stadiums. We saw them in a big game atmosphere against the Cowboys, and we won it. But they don't do well in big atmospheres, not at home. So this is really important for them because, again, if you're asking me, can we beat the Steelers at home? I'm like, well, yeah, Steelers shouldn't probably even be in the playoffs. Right. So that's huge. It's would I rather play the Chiefs in Kansas City, even though they don't look as good as possible? Would I rather play the Chiefs in Kansas City or the Steelers in Miami? It's well, I'd rather play the Steelers in Miami. So yeah, it's a big game, but those are the playoff implications for those that don't know. And we'll know by Sunday night. The Bills will know by Sunday night if they're in the playoffs, because I think like they have to have the Steelers and or the Jaguar. I think it's like they have to have one or two teams lose. I don't know if you know exactly. They have to have like one or two teams lose.
I believe it's Steelers and Colts would have to win. I could double check that. And then the Bills would have to lose, obviously, and they'd be out.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so they have to assume they have to hope the Jaguars and Steelers lose in order to make the playoffs. Yeah. Actually, I thought it was just one of those two teams. I thought it was if they lose, but either the Jaguars or Steelers lose, I think they're still in.
Let me check real quick.
I think, yeah. But anyway, I'll continue. Just like that's why I think heading up to the game right now, at least the Bills are going to be like, man, we're fighting for our playoff lives, because it doesn't get that big of a swing. Like this 2 seed to possibly not being in the playoffs is a wild swing. So I think it'll alleviate some pressure off the stakes, and maybe they don't play as hungry if they know, regardless, we are in the playoffs. It doesn't mean they're not going to want the 2 seed just because they're in the playoffs. I mean, any team's going to want the 2 seed over the 7 or 6 seed, but I think it's better for the Dolphins if the Bills know ahead of the game, we made the playoffs, and now we're just on equal terms. We both made the playoffs regardless. Now we're just fighting for that 2 seed. So,
when I'm getting I have an ad blocker, and then I'm on the CBS site that has them right in front of me, but it's like, turn off your ad blocker. So that's why it's taking me so long here. My apologies.
No, you're good. I'm pretty sure when I did the scenarios, hold on, I have it up. Let me. So if the Jaguars and the Steelers lose, the Bills are the 6th seed, not the 7th seed. And then if only the Steelers lose, so essentially the Bills are the 7th seed if either the Steelers or Jaguars lose. If both teams lose, they're actually the 6th seed, and they would play Kansas City. So we will play the Buffalo Bills, just so everyone knows. If the Steelers lose, Buffalo loses, but the Colts or the Texans and Jaguars win, we will be playing Buffalo then the very next week. So it's not like just because you beat Buffalo, you're done with them. The best case scenario, again, for the Dolphins is you win and the Steelers win, because if the Steelers win and the Dolphins win, that means that I believe we play the Steelers.
I got it here. Here's how the Bills would miss. So the Jags and the Jags and Steelers win, and then the Colts Texans does not end in a tie. Then the Bills would have to win to be in. So I mean, that's very, very plausible. To be honest, I think the Ravens backups are going to give the Steelers a hell of a game. Like, I believe it's Tyler Huntley playing quarterback, and
yeah.
But yeah, last just 2 quick things. As far as playoff matchups go, obviously, if it's the Steelers, who would likely be, I think it'd pretty much be the Steelers.
It could be the Bills or the Jaguars, but most likely it'll be the Steelers.
Yeah, I think if the Dolphins lost that game, I'd be very upset. And then the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs have been broken all season, and we have kept saying all year, they're going to figure it out. Just wait, they're going to figure it out. If they figure it out, they're going to be dangerous. They haven't figured it out. It's week 18. I don't see it clicking all of a sudden, and it'd be a great chance to go and prove something in your first playoff start. If you're Tua, that you could go on the road and go beat the defending Super Bowl champ. And I think it's a great opportunity. The Chiefs team, this is going to be the worst Chiefs team for the next few years, because boy, believe me, they're going to get some receivers. They will not make this mistake again. And then the only other thing, no, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing. I agree.
Just the last thing I want to say is there's going to be plenty of Bills fans in town. They honestly are fantastic fan base. Everyone knows how well they travel because they just want to get out of Buffalo, and who can blame them? They're going to take over the Elbow Room, which is a famous bar here on the beach, and it's crazy to see how many people are there, just all wearing Bills colors. But they won't take over the stadium like some are suggesting. There's going to be a lot of Bills fans there. I would not be surprised if it at maximum is 60-40 Dolphins fans, which would be very crazy to think in a must-win for the division game that it could be 60-40. But these tickets have been out for a while. Like this Bills fans circle this trip every time. So there's going to be so many of them, but I don't think, people suggesting that there's going to be more Bills fans there, like that's not going to happen.
Well, it's literally impossible. Like Steven, they don't allow that.
That's right. It's area code.
Yeah. If there's more, so the way it works is there's only a certain amount of seats that can be purchased by the opposing team. So if you go to a game and you're like, wow, it's a lot of Dolphin fans here and it's an away game, it's because the seats that are there for the home team weren't all bought. But it's impossible if it's a completely sold out stadium. It's impossible for there to be
resell on Ticketmaster, but like a lot. I mean, these tickets are going for a lot of money. Like it's the biggest home game.
Yeah. But it's not. No, it's not going to be more Bills fans. I don't know why people are saying it. It's not going to be more Bills fans. It might be a lot, and it might be kind of like the Cowboys game where it's like, wow, there's a lot of fans here, and I wouldn't be shocked because it's a division game. You travel for those, and it's like playoff implications. So yeah, I mean, this to me, there's no. I will say this: there's no home field advantage to this game for the Dolphins. I don't think that. I'm not going to say the only home field advantage is that you don't have to travel. There's not going to be like this quiet stadium. Which, first off, why don't we do that anyway? Like, I don't have power to do that or decide that. But like, the Dolphins can't make like an announcement video. Like, for the love of God, when I went to the Steelers, I remember when I went to the Steelers game. It would be like third down for the Dolphins and everyone's like screaming like Dolphin fans. I'm like, what are you like? Were you born yesterday? Like if you're watching this and you go to Dolphins games, for the love of God, when the Dolphins are on the field, just shut up and watch. When the Bills are on the field, scream like crazy. But I don't understand that. Anyway, I digress. But this isn't going to be a quiet game. So the Dolphins better get used to playing under pressure because for better or for worse, everyone's going to be loud. It's a big stakes game. A couple fights are probably going to happen on the field and in the stands. So this is a big one.
Let me tell you, this them making this a night game when these Bills fans like who are traveling, some of them I'm sure have early morning flight sketch, but the majority probably don't. And boy, this is going to get crazy. Like I'm trying to get off work Monday so I can just go full out for this game. But I mean, there's going to be a lot of alcohol flowing.
Well, yeah. Do you normally drive? Because when I went to visit for the Steelers game, because it was the first professional football game I'd ever been to, was the Steelers game last year. My brother took me to celebrate like me about to get married. We went just him and I. Dude, getting out of there was, and like I didn't have a car, so we had to walk like 20 minutes to get an Uber at like a random gas station, and then to like. The game ended. What time did games normally end? Like what? Like 11? Like I didn't go to sleep till like 1:30.
That was a night game, right? Yeah. We'll be home like 2 a.m. If we're
it was a nightmare. I was like, oh my God, I would never ever do this like for a night game. Like I'm sorry, unless the only way I'd do it is if like I really had nothing going on the next day.
I was not happy this was the Sunday night game. We do drive like and we do tailgate and everything. My dad drives and like he just doesn't drink, and then so we'll be out of there. Like, but boy, it's
tough
getting home that
anyway.
Way. Especially like I just in my mind I could just see it now that it's like it's like a 10-point game, but it's like not even that close. But it's enough where you're just there the whole time, invested in everything, and then you get out of there and it's wall to wall traffic, and it's gonna be just the worst, especially if we don't win. But I mean to talk about the game. I think where I want to start, and I think where you have to start, is the injury report. And we'll talk about the Dolphins, but first I want to talk about the Bills injury report. Like, Josh Allen is now on there, but they have a ton of guys. Like this to me is what's so crazy. Like how the Dolphins put like a broken toenail, you're on the Dolphins injury report.
Right.
The Bills being one, like. You're not on there. Like, for example, Stephon Diggs has just not been himself the past few weeks. Like, he only played 66% of snaps last week. Like, I don't think that's them saving him because obviously if they lose that game, in all likelihood, they could be out of the playoffs. So,
right.
Like, just the Bills are very hurt too. Like, and I think that's something that a lot of people like aren't talking about. When you break down this game, like the notion that the Bills have like fixed themselves all of a sudden it's just not right. Like,
True.
they still have the same problem. They're just way more conservative, and they're getting away with it. But like, they don't have the same juggernaut offense that they had in years past. They're just very conservative now, and they're doing a lot better. Like, they're running the ball very well with James Cook. But yeah, I mean, just between Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and like, I'm not as versed as some Bills fans, but I'm sure there's plenty of other guys that are super banged up, like to the level of the Dolphins, but they're just not listed on the injury report because they know they're playing. So why put them on there? Because apparently in the NFL, even though we made it clear that you got to put everyone on the injury report, it doesn't matter who you put on.
Teams don't care at all.
It's
at all.
crazy.
That's why I always laughed at the tampering stuff. I was like, they're not getting fined for the tampering stuff. That happens all the time. They're getting fined because the Flores allegations were true, and they're covering it up because it makes the NFL look bad. Yeah. Like, they didn't get a fine that much for tampering and trying to get Tom Brady. Like, a guy just got fined $300,000 for assaulting a fan. You're right. You didn't get a fine that much money for it.
And so I haven't looked at this, and I just want to say this is, I mean, not funny, but like, so they have to list Bradley Chubb on there because they can't put him on IR, I'd assume. Like,
yeah, they can't they have to list him. Well, I guess it doesn't. I'm trying to think. Like, yeah, I think they're out of IR designations because of Jerome Baker, because they want to bring him back, I think. So I think, right. So maybe now that I don't know. I'm assuming that's why. But yeah, Bradley Chubb,
torn ACL. He's not going to play until next December.
Like next November. Yeah. But looking at this injury report, like, guys, I could tell you right now are not playing. Xavier Howard's not playing. Jalen Waddle, I'd be Jalen Waddle. I'd be shocked if he plays. But I
think he goes.
Okay.
Me personally.
Well, that's what someone had said.
Very limited though. Like, he's going to play, but not be like a decoy.
Right. Everyone else I think will play. I like Teron Armstead apparently wasn't spot or whatever. I think everyone's going to play except Xavier. And then again, up in the air about Jalen. I lean no, but you lean yes. Other than that, Robert Hunt's going to play. Jerome Baker will play.
Okay.
Robert Hunt. I don't know if it's public news. I'm not going to say where I heard it because I'll get in trouble. But I read, I wasn't told, I read on a little thing, but that he is playing. So, and he's limited on there both times, and actually even said he's good to go. So that's not really news, but he should play. But yeah, I think everyone's good to go. This is going to be the healthiest the Dolphins. Well, actually, no, it's not the healthiest. Strike that. This is the first time we're getting back some people that we haven't had, like Robert Hunt and Jerome Baker. So thank God. Jerome Baker to me is the biggest one on there because Duke Riley, the film, which we'll talk about what I saw in the film last week and how it translates. But oh my God, he's bad. Like, didn't know how to cover a wheel route at all. So
no depth ever on this team.
But yeah, so we have a big injury report, and that's the biggest concern I have with this game. Is it's just like a lot for me, especially considering
what I was just trying to like say when talking about the Bills is like, I think that their injuries like equalize this game, and their conservative nature these last few weeks like equalize it a lot more than like you kind of think if you don't look into it too deeply like beforehand. But then once you start looking, it's like this is going to be like, this isn't going to get out of control as it last week. And then just final last thing, and I'll kick it back to you. Couple people like in the national space are like, is Tua going to play? He's playing. I don't
know why that
the stinger. I don't know what happened. It looked bad. Like when it happened, he couldn't like move his arm for a second, but I think he's playing. He's going to be banged up. I think he has been banged up a few weeks. I think now, like when even I said, I was like, yeah, you just couldn't complete those out routes. Like, I think there's been something up for a few weeks that wasn't really being talked about. But it's pretty clear to me that he's been off these past few weeks, and there's something there, like an injury that isn't public knowledge. And I don't think it just magically went away. So I think that's going to be another factor into this game.
Well, we've seen, I mean, really since Tua got in the NFL, he's not the biggest quarterback, and man, I'm happy that he's made it through a whole entire season. Like, because that is very good. If you're a Dolphins fan, you should be very happy. But naturally, every quarterback gets banged up in the year, and so when you're smaller and you don't have the biggest arm, right? And that's not. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just that's what Tua's game is. It's not about big arm stuff. So like, it's going to be, you're going to see it a lot more when Tua is injured versus like a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen, which every quarterback right now is injured. If you're in the NFL, doesn't matter how much you get hit or not. It's just a lot. Right. But, or Mason Rudolph, I guess. But every quarterback right now is hurt, but obviously with someone who isn't already the most athletic, physically gifted person or quarterback in the NFL, you're going to notice it more because it's going to look more labored. And I definitely think he's dealing with some injuries right now. But he's battling through them, and that's what he should be doing. And I'm very happy that he is. Obviously want him to stay safe, but we're a much better team with him on the field. But yeah, like we'll see, like with the Bills injuries, I don't really know much about, like, obviously I don't follow them. I only know what's on the injury report. But I'll just say this, not to be pessimistic, but it seems like every other team knows how to overcome injuries better than us. And I know we deal with a lot of injuries, but like I look at the Ravens last week and I'm like, well, you were missing like most of your best players on defense and you still stopped.
Didn't even know it.
Right. So, the Bills are a team to me where I never really care about the injury report because every time we play them, they're missing people. And like they've missed Matt Milano before when we've played them, Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde before, and they've still like whooped us. So like, to me, this is much more less about who the Bills don't have and more so about who the Dolphins don't have. Because it's going to be an uphill battle, I think.
So to your point, like I think that on top of the injuries, just the way they dial back this offense to make it so conservative to stop Josh Allen, throwing backbreaking interceptions and stuff, it's hurt them so much. And if there's no way they'd do it. I mean, not no way. If they were smart, they would do this, but they aren't going to do this. If they just said to themselves, hey, like we got here right now, let's pull off the training wheels. Josh Allen, you go out there and play how you used to play. Sling that ball around. Let's play backyard football. I would think the Bills could go on and win the Super Bowl and beat the Ravens because when their offense was what it was last year and before, I mean, they were the best team, or if not the second, third best team in the NFL. But they're just not going to do that. Like they in their mind, in McDermott's mind, like the way they have to win games is as a team, as a unit. Don't let Josh Allen be the hero. Win it. And it's been working. But boy, have they had some ugly wins. And I don't think people are talking about that. Like if you go look right now, the Bills are the third favorite to win the Super Bowl when they have a chance at not even making the playoffs. And that's just crazy. And I think just the perception of them is still that they are this offensive juggernaut and can put up 40 on any given team. But the style of play they're not going to do that. Like, so that's why I do think that the Dolphins, like they have a chance here, like not because the Dolphins are going to get back to scoring 40 on offense either, but the Bills can beat themselves just by being conservative, and then less drives are going to lead to more of a chance for the Dolphins to take advantage. And I still think that it's in all likelihood, even with them being as conservative as they are, we've seen that Josh Allen can still throw 2-3 interceptions. So that happens. The Dolphins can win. I mean, look, they struggle to beat the Chargers. The Chargers could have won, the Patriots, and as well as the other teams they played.
Yeah. The last 5 weeks, I think, like Stephon Diggs hasn't got more than 50-something yards receiving in any of the games. Josh Allen, the last 2 weeks, hasn't thrown for more than 205 yards a game. On average, he's averaged about 200-ish yards a game. He has 1 touchdown passing, 2 interceptions. I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns last week. But last week, I mean, was a awful game by both teams. And quite honestly, if the Patriots just didn't have one of the worst offensive performances I've ever seen in my entire life, they probably would have beaten them. So how much does that factor in for me? I'm not sure because I am like a scared little puppy because the Bills have just destroyed us every time. And it seems like Josh Allen, if you just took his games against the Dolphins, it's enough to get him in the Hall of Fame. So that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, the only reason I'm nervous is because they're so familiar with us. And this is the type of game where, like, again, Lamar Jackson, when was the last time he had 5 touchdown passes? I don't know, but he did against us. And now that, like, Eli Apple's out there, we lost our 2 best edge rushers. It's like, I don't know. Like, of course, Stephon Diggs hasn't had 50 yards receiving in the last 5 weeks, but watch him have like 120 in this game. Like, that's what I get nervous for, because that's what always happens. In theory, this isn't the Bills like you were talking about. This isn't Bills that beat us 48-20 in the beginning of the year. This is a Bills team that is kind of like the Steelers with a better quarterback, right? They just find a way to win games. They're, aside from the Cowboys game, they're like good and they keep winning, but it's never like impressive. It's kind of like the Eagles, where it's like you won games, but you kind of got outplayed in most of them, but you somehow won them. So I don't know. Part of me it agrees with you, and I'm like, this is a Bills team that should be able to be had. It's not the Ravens at all. But also, if I know the past of the Dolphins when they play the Bills, it's that there's just they're scared. And when we play the Bills, Josh Allen just goes off. Doesn't matter the talent. And I'm curious to see this go around, what it's going to be like now that they have a more conservative approach on offense.
And again, I just want to make this clear. Like, I think if the Bills, this was the week 2 Bills where they're slinging the ball around, they're throwing it 50 times a game, they would crush us in our current state. But that's not the Bills we're going to see. I think we're just going to see another run-heavy game. Like, Allen, unless he has to, they get down a ton, but he's not going to like be throwing it around to the way he was before. So that's why I just think like this is going to be an ugly game. Even with the both edge rushers being down, like the Bills O-line is decimated. I don't know, honestly, if we're going to be able to get pressure, because you have the corpse of Melvin Ingram, who's going to have to play. Like, and another thing that is so ironic, like Agba getting healthy scratched, and then now, like, he's got to be the guy. Like, how does he feel? Like, it's just crazy how that shakes out.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't anticipate him to be healthy scratched. Like, he's got to step up in this game, but you never know.
Yeah. It's, again, there's just so much with the injuries. We're gonna see what happens. But even if we are fully healthy, it's like,
if both teams are fully healthy, I think still I'd take the Bills.
Right. It's just like I just get nervous is more so than anything, because there's a lot of unknowns, I think. And that to me is where I'm a little confused on this game. And I'm gonna go with what my brain tells me. But there's just like a lot of unknowns between injuries, new style of play for the Bills. Dolphins have never been in this situation where 2 is healthy, and they like what are they going to play like, knowing that they're in the playoffs regardless, but they're fighting for the 2 seed. I have no idea. There's a lot here to kind of just like, it'll be very telling. But I guess with that, we can kind of lead into how we see the game going with our 3 keys.
Yeah, you could go to yours, and sorry to steal your thunder and set it up. But I mean, I like you have here. I think the team that just puts caution to the wind, plays reckless, gets creative, like pulls out all the stop throws, the kitchen sink, all those cliches. Like, that's a team that's going to set themselves up for success. And why would you not play that game like this if you're the Dolphins? Like, this is a rare opportunity, not only for the Dolphins, but for Mike McDaniel and Tua. Like, when you really look at it, like, how many chances are you going to have to do this in your life? Like, go out there and just be like, do everything. Just do everything. I want to see the last plays of the playbook, the Super Bowl plays, like, pull them out. Like, this has to be the game. This has to be the game.
Yeah. I mean, I hadn't really thought about that. The fact that like you're in the playoffs regardless, so just go out there and like just try to win. Like just go out there and play free. You're in the playoffs regardless. This isn't an elimination game for you. It might cause less errors. I hadn't really thought about that. Starting with keys, I guess we'll start on defense. I only have one on defense, and to me, obviously, with Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips not being there, it's going to be hard for me to say like you're going to get home with four guys. To me, this game is not about like, yeah, you have to apply pressure. You can't just let Josh Allen sit back there. But when I looked back at this game in week 2, it was egregious that we did not stick Xavier Howard on Stephon Diggs. And now with Jalen Ramsey here and Xavier Howard gone, you're in a similar situation. I would argue Jalen Ramsey is much better right now to this point in his career than Xavier Howard. But you have to. Like, I'm sorry, Vic Fangio. I understand that your way, it's your way of the highway, and you've had a lot of success in the NFL. If you decide to stick Kader Kohu or Eli Apple on Stephon Diggs, you're going to get destroyed. And if you just decide to leave Ramsey on one side and not move him around, I mean, man, am I worried about this? So to me, it starts out with the cornerbacks, and you have something similar with cornerbacks, but for me, you have to put Ramsey on Diggs so that you can just kind of, at least in your head, not have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, for mine, like in the way I imagine it, because of what we saw last week, it's going to be Eli Apple being the other boundary cornerback, and he needs help. Like, I don't know what to see. Like, Vic Fangio said something today. It's like he's gotten a lot better since early in the season. Like, I don't know what's he gotten better at. Like, he's just a complete liability out there, and he will be a liability. And as we saw in the first game, Josh Allen was not afraid to throw the ball, and every time to Stephon Diggs, like he would definitely do it to a different receiver, or Diggs if it's Apple on Diggs. So like you have to get him some help. Like Vic Fangio, like this is a big game for him too. I mean, this is a big game for everyone in the building. I mean, yeah, you just gotta do the right things here. Like, I'd like to think that they've been preparing for this for weeks, but you never know with these Dolphins.
Yeah. Man, it'll be, again, I'm just very interested to see like, big stake game. What are they going to do? To me, what's the purpose of having Jalen Ramsey if you're not going to give him, and he wants to, like, that's what's crazy to me is I understand if like your cornerback doesn't want to do something, you don't, but like if I had like a Hall of Famer on my team that's like, I want to shadow the other guy, it's like, why would you not? Like, to me, that's just like a disservice to your team. But again, Vic Fangio knows more about football than if I created 100 of me, I would know. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful in that way. It's just, I'm going based off of what Jalen himself is saying, and like, just do yourself a favor and put him on them, but put him on, not necessarily that he's shadowing him, because like, if it's, you can't really shadow someone if it's man to man, if it's not man to man, like, because then guys are going to have to cross the field like crazy, but at least line him up on the same side. And then if he shifts to the other side, okay. But like, at least make an effort, your best effort to line him up as much as you can to where Diggs is. My second thing is get creative on offense. I have been, and I don't know how the proper way to say this is, because the Dolphins offense is creative, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I have been overwhelmed in a bad way with how predictable this offense has been the last couple of weeks. And
predictable now.
And that's, I guess, the best way to say it's not that it's not creative, but if you're a defense, you need to essentially be able to stop 3 plays. Number one is a toss. We do this stupid like toss play where we fake the handoff and then toss it. That's one. That's the only running play we mainly do anymore. I don't know why, but that's really all we ever do. Number 2, a screen pass to Devon Achane or Tyreek Hill. And 3, some sort of slant on the left side of the field in between the numbers and the hash. If you can defend those 3 plays, you're going to be able to beat the Dolphins. And there's no maneuver from it. And I saw this against the Titans, and I said it. Jalen Waddle was wide open all game. They were literally just playing cover 2 all game. You could have run it. You could have thrown it to Jalen Waddle. Doesn't matter. They didn't. And against the Ravens, Tua and Mike McDaniel, how many times are you going to do the same play? How many times? You're not going to beat the elite teams if you're always just throwing screen passes and slants to Tyreek Hill. You're not going to win. I'm sorry. And one of the things I've loved, honestly, in a positive way about the last couple of weeks is I feel like they're getting the tight ends more involved. I saw a lot of Durham Smythe being used on 3rd downs and Alec Ingold converting easy plays. And it's just do that. Tyreek Hill's not going to get 2,000 anymore. Let's stop focusing on it. How about we use Tyreek Hill as a decoy? Everyone's focusing on Tyreek. And obviously, yes, throw him the ball if he's open. But there are so many plays where it's you could get 6 yards easily if you just threw to Durham Smythe or checked it to the running back or threw it to Alec Ingold. It's you're going to get 5-6 yards on a 2nd down instead of forcing it to Tyreek and it's incomplete or it's intercepted. So this is a game where I didn't really want to get creative, but change it up on offense. You don't get so predictable. Don't just throw the same stupid pass that we've seen to Tyreek since week 1 against the Chargers. Find some other stuff. Like you said, this is your Super Bowl. Not really your Super Bowl, but this is a big game for you. Go out there and get in your bag if you're Mike McDaniel. And I feel really against the best teams, he's kind of crapped the bed as far as not necessarily play calling, but as far as the creativeness and the predictability, it's just not been there. So that to me is going to be huge because you're going against the Bills team that knows exactly what you want to do. They are used to you. They've played you this will be the 5th time now with Mike McDaniel. They know this offense just very, very well. So if you think that you're going to get away throwing a slant route to Tyreek Hill and little screen passes to Achane and Tyreek Hill, it's not going to work. And I think really that carries into the playoffs too, once you start playing these better defenses.
Yeah. And to consider, truthfully, this is as much of a playoff game as there ever is in the regular season, because in all likelihood, most quarterbacks in their first time in the playoffs, they take a dump and they don't show up. They have a really hard time, no matter who you are, especially if you have to go on the road. And Tua hasn't played in a playoff game yet.
Right.
So, we could see a really bad performance and then but that's okay. You just got to watch away, first playoff game. So what do you do the next game? But yeah, this is another just prove it game for the Dolphins. And they've had quite a few here down the stretch and, it doesn't feel like they've proved much yet. And then to my second point here, just on containing extended plays, with the lack of pass rush that there could be, if you let these receivers, if you let Josh Allen hold the ball behind the line of scrimmage for a long time, these receivers eventually will get open. The corners aren't going to be able to cover forever. And then that's how they're going to get explosive plays, which they've been lacking here. And then if they get explosive plays with the success they've been having running the ball with James Cook, you're not going to be able to win this game. So
right.
You have to limit it. And I don't mean spy him. I'm not worried about him taking off and running because I've seen this every time. And I don't know how more teams haven't exploited this yet. And I think even Bills fans would agree when he runs Josh Allen, 9 times out of 10, he's holding that thing like a loaf of bread. And you could just take a shot at the ball instead of tackling. He has it with one hand ready to pitch it at any second. Just hit the ball. There'd be a turnover. I don't get why more teams aren't doing that. So I'm not too worried about him beating us with his legs. I'm more so worried about him just continuing to drop back because we know he has an arm and him just torching us over deep down the field.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think that's really what we saw last week with Lamar is when you're playing a lot of man and, which was, I think that honestly was one of the biggest reasons why we got blown out last week is because we did, shockingly enough. Lamar didn't really even run last week. Like, that's what's crazy is like people are going to talk about limiting Josh Allen running the football. Like, y'all just better worry that the coverage is good, because like Lamar didn't have to run. His guys were wide open. He just stood in the pocket and threw the football bombs away every single play. So like, that to me is huge, is not giving Josh Allen enough time to create extensive plays, having to get after him, but also making sure you're on your P's and Q's in the secondary. Last thing, and I mean, sick to my stomach that I'm even having to say this again, because I always have to say it. For the love of God, for all things good and pure in this world, stick with the run game. I'm going to share this graphic right here, and I don't think this is a coincidence. People are going to say maybe it's a coincidence that is the way it is. This is let me see if I can take this off. Okay. This is not a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. 26 or more rushing yards a game. 26 or more rushing attempts per game. We're 9-1. Only loss came against the Titans. When we should have won, it was just an epic collapse. When we don't run at least 26 times, we are 2-4. That is significant. And I know people are going to say, well, it's because late in games you're winning and you rush it more. Yes, understand. Yeah. But at the end of the day, when the Dolphins, every single time the Dolphins have committed to running the football throughout the game, we win football games. And that is not a coincidence that 9 times you have won the game out of 10 when you rush 26 or more times. That's not always because you're with a lead. That's because you decided we are going to be physical today and we are going to run the football. And I said this, let me bring this back up. I said this against the Titans, and I will say it again. Teams go into the game, head coaches that are smart, John Harbaugh, Mike Vrabel, Sean McDermott, they go into the game laughing and telling their defense, let's play the pass the entire game, because even if we give them 7 yards a carry, which, oh, by the way, guess how many yards per carry the Dolphins had versus the Ravens? Just take a guess. How many yards per carry do you think the Dolphins had versus the Ravens?
I think it was like, I want to say, I want to say it was like 6.2.
That's if you factor in Chris Brooks' carries at the end. The Dolphins averaged 7.3 yards per carry against, if you consider Tua. If you don't consider Tua, we averaged 7.3 yards per carry with Jeff Wilson and Devon Achane. When your running back has 14 carries for 107 yards, why in the name of the good Lord above are you not running the football more often? And coordinators are going into games. I'm letting everyone know this right now. I don't care if you get into your feels. I don't care. The good coaches are going into games and they're saying, this guy right here, Mike McDaniel, is not disciplined. He's not disciplined. Yeah, you can give him the run every single time, and he is eventually going to get impatient, and he's going to want to throw the football and show off his flashy weapons like Tyreek and Jalen. If they go into this game with the mindset that we are going to beat the Bills by throwing the football all over the yard like they did against the Chargers, it's going to be 48-20 again. I don't care what the Bills' offense is. I don't. You have to stop abandoning the run. You're running, again, if you're running for 3 yards a clip, Chase, like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, continue to run it if you're getting blown out and you need to pass it. But if your running back, every time he gets the ball, is averaging 7.6 yards, which Devon Achane was, it is so idiotic to not continue to run it. And like, there should never, I'm just letting everyone know this right now, there should never be 3 plays that go by where we don't run it once. If there's ever 3 passes in a row, you're doing it wrong. I don't care the situation. I don't. Because guess what? Even if you're losing at the end, even if you're losing like you were against the Ravens, you still didn't do anything. I don't know why people are. It's not like we're taking deep shots. Guess what? That same slant route to Tyreek Hill is all they're doing, even when we lose by 35 points. It's the same route every time. Sometimes it's with Cedric Wilson. Sometimes it's run with Tyreek Hill. Sometimes it's with Jalen Waddle if he's on the field. If we even decide to target him. Run the football. And when you run the football, you can actually use all the motion, all the play action that this offense is built with. But if you don't run the football, you have no weapons to show off. Everyone and their mother, right? Chase's great-grandmother, who's dead probably, okay, it probably knows that Tyreek Hill's a good wide receiver. You don't have to show him off. Stop showing him off. We know Tyreek Hill's good. Get over it. Tua made the Pro Bowl. Congrats. Accomplishment achieved. Stop featuring him. We all know he's good. Win the effing game. I'm getting heated talking about it because it makes me so mad. Stop showing them off. I don't care anymore. I don't care that you went and got Tyreek Hill. It was a great move. Now go win football games. I've never cared about 2,000 yards. I don't care about Tua's stats. I don't care about anyone's stats. I care about the Dolphins winning games. I want to win an effing playoff game. Go out there and win the game the way you need to, which is running the football. Point blank, period, end of discussion. I don't need you to impress me in any other ways.
And I think something you said there was beautiful. Like, and I haven't heard anyone put it this way yet. And like, I'm going to start using it. Like, that's exactly what Mike McDaniel is. He's undisciplined as a head coach. Like 2 years now, we've seen it. Like you said, is unwillingness to commit to the run. And it's, I haven't watched all of Hard Knocks, but just like, it seems like it's lax. Like he's not a disciplined head coach in himself as a play caller with these challenges we see that are just impulses. Like, and you rushing to decisions, the time it takes to get plays off. Like that's exactly what he's been. And I've said it, like, it's only a second year doing both, but that has to improve. Like you have to be able to self-evaluate in this league. And I know Mike McDaniel is a smart guy. And oh wow, Dalvin Cook signed with the Ravens. That's interesting, honestly. I'm just glad it wasn't here. But yeah, I mean, that's, I think, a great way to put it from Mike McDaniel. And that's something that I think, honestly, quite frank, next year, no matter what happens, unless they somehow go win 2-3 playoff games, like that's going to be what everyone is focusing on. And if it doesn't improve, like, I don't know, that Mike McDaniel might not be here because you have to improve as a coach. And he's undisciplined. Like there's no other way to put it. And my last point here it's titled a little wrong, but what I just want to see from the Dolphins, or what I think they should do, is have extended drives here. Like you want this to be a lower scoring affair, obviously considering the state of the defense and the injuries. And the longer the offense can stay on the field and have sustained drive, like the better it is. Like I don't think either team here is going to want to get into a shootout. So yeah, I think you're going to have extended drives. And I think if you make the Bills have extended drives, as we've seen time and time again, Josh Allen eventually, if he has to move the ball 4 yards at a time, he's going to make a mistake eventually. It may not happen on the first drive, it may not happen on the second drive, but it will happen eventually. And that's how you're going to have to win this game. You're going to have to capitalize on the mistakes. Like, and the game spiraled out of control. But when the Raven, or we turned the ball over to the Ravens, and I'm like, damn, they're gonna score here, and we missed our chance. And then they didn't score, and then I'm like, well, now we got to make them pay for not making us pay. You have to punish mistakes in these type of games. Like, as I said last week, like the margins are thin. Like these are two really good football teams, and they're not in their best form at the moment, either of them, even though the Bills have won 6 in a row. But that's how you're going to have to win games. Like the little mistakes are going to make the difference in this. And yeah, we could, unless you got anything else to say about the game.
No, we can do the score prediction. People are going to be mad with me. We have to do a good cop, bad cop. Here we go.
Yeah, no, wow. So I didn't think it'd be that number, but yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a lower scoring game, like I said.
Yeah.
I don't think either team's going to be here with the state of these injuries and what everything's at stake and want to play a high scoring game. I mean, Buffalo still has PTSD from the Chiefs game, and they may never recover unless they finally avenge it this year or in a future year. But this can be a slow game, an ugly game, and very easily too. When I submitted this to you, I said before I was going to submit it just blank because I feel more confident in it being a lower scoring game than picking a winner. But everyone here is saying that the Bills have figured everything out, and you have Stephen A. Smith saying the Dolphins are embarrassing and why he's right and everything. Typically, when all the stars align like that, how many times have we seen it on Monday where everyone's, making fun of them? And I'm sure there's some people out there right now who have like all the videos queued up. They have the video edited and they will post it as soon as they get the chance if the Dolphins win. So we'll see all that and it'll feel good. But yeah, I mean, the Miami, put an asterisk next to it because very easily, I could see Buffalo winning this game. And even if they do win this game, I don't think that the Dolphins are like it's over for the Dolphins or anything. I think if they lose and then they just go to the Chiefs and win, which is very doable in my mind. I think you could take away from the season. It was good because then we'll go play the Ravens and I don't know if it'll be 56-19, but I don't see how they win that game.
No, yeah, I mean, like, how do I say? The reason I picked 31-21 Buffalo is could it be like 28-21? It's a lot closer and then like they get a field goal, or maybe it's 24-21 and something happens like an interception and then they get a touchdown later in the game that makes it look like a 10-point game, but it was closer. It could be. But ultimately, when I look at it, it's just there are a lot of injuries right now. And I understand the Bills have some, but like, even if they're dealing with some injuries, they're probably still going to play. But when last time you played, your entire offensive line got out physicaled and you're less healthy than you were then. You don't have Jalen Waddle, or at least I'm picking as if they won't. Raheem Mostert hasn't practiced 2 days in a row. Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips won't be out there. Xavier Howard won't be out there, which last time when you only had 1 year good cornerbacks out there, it wasn't good. To me, it's just a lot for the Dolphins to overcome. And it's not me hoping that the Bills win. I don't ever want to see the Bills win unless it means like somehow we were to like get in the playoffs if the Bills win. Like that'd be the only time I ever want them or any division rival to win. So I'll be rooting like for the Dolphins to win like crazy. But at the end of the day, I just think between them possibly being in a situation where they're lose and they're out of the playoffs will make them want to play harder. The Bills have historically just owned us since Josh Allen has gone there. And it's sad to say that, but it's true. So ultimately, it's just a lot for me to think based off of how I feel about the game, for me to pick Miami to win. Now, like you, I'll flip it and say, would I be shocked if the Dolphins won? Actually, yeah, I kind of will, to be honest with you. But going off what you said about the playoffs, I'm going to be honest. If I find out, or if we find out before the game that the Bills are the 7th seed if they lose and the 2nd seed if they win, I mean, man, if we win and have to play them again, that's going to be tough to beat them 2 times in a row. I'm not saying I prefer the Dolphins to lose, but I mean, if there's teams in the playoffs I want to play as far as the first game, it's either going to be the Chiefs, Steelers, Bills, or Jaguars. Of those teams, literally, I'd rather face any of them except the Bills. So I don't know. This is going to be really interesting. We're in the playoffs regardless. I'd love to see a home playoff game, but again, my heart is wanting the Dolphins to win, but I'm going to go with what I think will happen, which is Buffalo wins 31-21.
Yeah, I personally, I know for some reason, some people do like when people pick against our team or bet against them, whatever. Some people are like, what are you doing? What? Like, I don't care. I mean,
right.
We all have brains. Like, you don't have to follow your heart. But and I think anyone if you're a Dolphins fan or not a Dolphins fan, Bills fan, you're picking the Bills to win. That's totally fair. Like, these Dolphins got to prove it. Like, they have to prove that they can beat the Bills. They have to prove they can win in December. They have to prove they can win a playoff game.
They've beaten them one. Yeah, really all beat a good team, play well when it's a big game, and beat the Bills because they've done it one time in the last, I think they've beaten the Bills one time since Josh Allen has been their quarterback, and it was last year when they probably should have won the game if Josh Allen didn't throw the worst throw ever on on that 4th and 2 to get or whatever it was for that touchdown. So it probably should be they have yet to beat Josh Allen. But yeah, it's just a lot. But again, I'd be like excited as hell. Especially, I'd be really happy if the playoffs go the way I think they will. Which let me pull it up. This is what I think.
While you're doing that, just one quick last little rant. Like I have more of an issue with the people who blindly pick their team every week. Like if you're like a Panthers fan and you're like, we're gonna win this game. Like, what are you talking about? Like we're all watching the same thing. Like you can't just always think your team's gonna win. Like that's just not thinking logically.
Yeah. So I picked the games next week of what I think will happen as far as games that actually matter for playoff seeding for both sides. So the NFC, obviously, that's what I think is going to happen. But for the AFC, aside from the Dolphins-Bills game, I think that the Jaguars, Steelers, and Texans will win. And that's how it'll play out. So based off of how I think the entire AFC playoff picture is going to happen, if we win, that would be my favorite scenario right there, would be playing the Steelers. And then if we were to lose, which obviously we don't want to happen, but if we lose like I'm predicting, if we were to lose, and this is essentially what I think will happen based off of my prediction of the Bills winning, that's what the playoff picture most likely in the AFC will be like. It'll be Bills play the Texans, we play the Chiefs, Browns play the Jaguars, which, we could see what happened there. But, if I think probably Bills would probably beat the Texans. Let's say we beat the Chiefs, Browns would probably beat the Jags. It would be then you're going to Baltimore and the Browns are playing the Bills. So again, there's different scenarios. This would be a harder one. I forget what the other one was. Let me pull it up real quick.
While you're doing that, this is just a side tangent, but is there a team that got luckier than the Cowboys, even though they lost to the Dolphins? Here they are now with one against they play the Commanders, right?
If they win, they'll win their division, which I'd be shocked if they lost. But yeah, so if we in this scenario right here,
it's the NFC.
I would expect the Dolphins to win, the Chiefs to win, and the Browns to win, which means that most likely we would play the Browns, the Ravens would play the Chiefs. So regardless, again, if the Dolphins made the playoffs, if we were to win a lot of games, it's probably going to have to go through Baltimore, unless something crazy happens.
And either way, enjoy these playoffs. Dolphins fans, don't let the Dolphins, if they lose this and then lose again next week, don't let it ruin your mood. These are going to be some really fun playoffs. And I can't remember a year it's as wide open as this in the NFL, which is a real shame that the Dolphins are as banged up as they are, because a healthy Dolphins team could very easily be your Super Bowl favorite right now, which is sad to think about. But any closing thoughts? You want to rally the Dolphins fans? Hear anything before the big game send-off speech?
I picked the Bills, so they probably don't want to hear from me. So hopefully the Dolphins win. I would love nothing more than that. So yeah, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you here what happens after the game, and then we'll do some playoff stuff here. I'm sure either way, whatever happened, it'll be an exciting recap show. There'll be some two sad, really pessimistic guys, or some shocked, happy people here. And Joel predicted us to win here. So
yeah, Joel, we got to get your predictions on there. You need to send me your score prediction. We'll put all three of us on there, because you can't be skating by without any accountability back there.
He's undefeated. He's been right every game so far.
Yeah. Joel's back there. He's like, I'm 100% right now. I've never gotten one wrong. Yeah, we need to get you in there. We should honestly do it next season. We should do like see who gets the closest, and at the end of the year, like we have to like chip in and get the other person a gift or something.
I'm down. We'll figure that all out. We'll see. Thank you everyone again for listening. If you haven't yet, I'm going to ask again, please like, share, comment, subscribe. You made it this far. Least you can do. Come on. Even if you didn't like it, like I said, just click the like button.
Do it.
Go Dolphins. Fins up.
Go Dolphins. Fins up.